Steve.
Welcome to the Sentinel panel for Lawless 2021. My name is Steve, and together with Alan and Ed from Sentinel and some of the artists, we'll be talking about Sentinel Comic. Alan, can you introduce yourself? And if you can go around and introduce yourself, just telling us a little bit of what you've done in comics before Sentinel.
Okay, my name's Alan Holloway, and I'm the writer on Sentinel and co-creator with Ed Doyle. It was us what came up with it, Mud, and we confess. So we'll take any punishment due. Before Sentinel, I was really known for a couple of small fanzine works, plus Sector 13 and Zardis. Ed.
My name is Ed, and I'm the co-creator with Alan on Sentinel. My previous comic book work started off with Sector 13, with a Gronk strip that Alan wrote, and I've appeared in 2000 fanzines like Zarjazz, Dog Breath, the Comic Scene magazine, Comic Scene Annual, and Sentinel. That's right at the moment. Now, on to Ian.
Hi, I'm Ian Beadle, and I've done very little apart from Sentinel, a couple of the jazz strips. Fairly new to this, but enjoying it. I've got another Sentinel strip that I'm on with at the moment. But apart from that, not much. On to Andrew.
Evening, guys. I've been involved with comics for years. Recently, I've done the 77, and I'm the sub-editor and art ed on Blazer with the mighty one, Steve McManus. I've done quite a few of my own Kickstarters, and I've got a comic coming up in Sentinel called To Be a Hero, which I think is going to be issue 8.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one's all finished. We were good boys on that one. And let's go down to Dave.
We've lost Dave.
Oh, we lost Dave.
We've lost Dave.
Let's go across to Paul. Let's go to Paul.
Paul's turned his microphone off.
Oh,
Paul, your microphone's off. As you can see, we're all consumer professionals.
Yeah.
Paul, you're muted.
How's that?
That's
it.
Hey.
Hey, sorry about that. Right then, my name's Paul Spence. I've done hardly anything to do. I've been drawing for years, but just for myself. And it was only last year I had the chance to draw Sentinel issue 3, which is my first ever comic strip. So that's about it, really. I've got another one on the go at the minute, and a few little bits and bobs that I fancy doing myself, just for my own enjoyment. Nothing professional or anything. That's about it, really, I think.
Thanks. So it's it is a bit of a mix of experience of writing and artwork. Then I think a lot of people do it just for themselves. It's not it's something that a lot of us have done over the years. Is I write for myself. Have done for 40 odd years. So I'm currently writing plays.
Done that.
So, but I think if you look at it and want to be a professional comic creator, you have to put the hours in, and not only that, you have to live on a very nominal wage.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us have gone into other professions. I mean, I'm a graphic designer by trade, so that is a reasonable wage, and that means that I can do the comics.
Yeah.
And and we love doing comics. We absolutely love them.
Yeah,
I mean,
gotta agree with that.
I can't stress so much how much it's in our blood, else we wouldn't sit. I mean, to do a Sentinel, it's 60 pages, 60 plus pages. And that can be daunting. That's a professional level.
Just letting
And
Dave
Alan writes such joyous scripts.
Oh, he does.
You know? He really does. I mean, we all love working with Alan. I mean, there's other things in the pipeline as well. He's already written 2 more scripts for us, or for me, and quite a few for other guys as well.
Well, my new favourite.
Alan, get us started on where Sentinel came from.
It was way back in October 2019. So before the plague, when we had other stuff to do, me and Ed had done, as he did, Gronk strips for Sector 13, and we collaborated on other stuff just purely for our own enjoyment, and then we'd send it off, and if someone printed it, so much the better. So we've done the Whole Tooth comic, sort of newspaper style 3-panel comic strip, which we did over 80 of those, which was quite good. And we've done stuff in Zarjazz and various places. Ed emailed, well, not emailed, he messaged me on Facebook and he said, "Wouldn't it be? I'm not doing the accent. Wouldn't it be great to bring bring Starblazer back?" And I said, "What, 64 pages of comic?" And he said, "Yeah, you write it, I'll draw it." And I wasn't too sure about that, because the only thing I've written quite up to then, I'm quite experienced then at writing, but nothing over 6 pages, because that's fanzine length stuff.
Yeah.
And so he persuaded me, and I wrote him literally a 6 commando sort of Starblazer sized pages, which just introduced the character of Doyle having a fight in a bar. And I had no idea what else would happen. I said, "We'll draw this, we'll see how it looks, and we'll just ask for what they think." And he drew it, and people liked it. And I then had to come up with a story, and I thought, why waste those pages? And so that served as a prologue. I wrote the rest of it, and then bookended it with another 5 or 6 page epilogue, which carried on from where the prologue started off. And people seemed to quite like it. I just wanted to write something fun. A sort of space romp with fun characters, a bit of violence, but suitable for anybody, rather than just something really adult or anything like that. And that's where it started, and it just carried on.
There's the first issue with Ian's cover.
Yeah, so Starblazer, if for anybody that doesn't know Starblazer, it was a pocket book in the... Did it start in the mid or late 70s? I can't actually remember.
79.
79.
Here's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what Alan was talking about. So Ed, you were the person who thought a 64-page feat of artwork was a good idea in one go.
Yeah, I was well off for it. I had already drawn, as what Alan has said, I'd already drawn 6 pages of it, and I wanted to do the rest of it. So it was up to Alan to create the rest of the script. And when he did, and I think he did it in about a day or 2 days.
Was it 3? I think it was 3.
Was it? Very fast. So I got to work on it, and it took me about 2 months, and it was done. So yeah.
That's
64 pages of art.
Yeah, that's
in his spare time.
That's a good that's a good page rate in your with a day job. That's a very good page rate with a day job.
Yeah, I'm told I'm fast.
So how long is it?
Leave Mrs. Doyle out of this.
Yeah.
Stop.
So with the other artists, what did you think when you were asked to do a 64-page script?
No one actually asked them.
I think we were told, get on with it.
Yeah.
You just sent them the script.
No. Well, we never asked for artists. All our artists came to us and said, "Can we play in your sound bit?" And it seemed rude not to say yes.
That's excellent. Is that
so? The whole point of it was me and Ed to do the whole thing, do a couple of issues a year, and just see how it goes. Again, for fun, like you say.
Yeah.
And we didn't think that anyone would want to come and do it, because they wouldn't exactly be getting hardly any money for such hard work. And so we never put the call out, because it's sort of embarrassing.
Well, I wandered into Alan's high fashion boutique last autumn, and came out with a script basically. Well, within a couple of days, there's things flying around. But yeah, comic shop, into Alan's shop. I don't think it's particularly high fashion.
So, Ian, how did you get involved?
I've been talking to Ed through social media, and I've been posting a few things on Instagram and Facebook, nothing startling, just a few dreads and Batman. And he just said, how do you fancy having a go at drawing these Sentinels? Yeah, I'll give it a go. So I'm not an artist as such. And 7 months later, I produced Misty. I thought it'd take me about 3, but it took me 7 months. It's a lot more hard work than I thought it'd be. I did a strip originally for Alan, a 2-pager, a little 2-page dread strip for the Jazz. That's how I got into it. I think the other
Ed's nicely prepared there.
All behind me here, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, Ian asked me if I had a script you could practice on, and I'd written a short Judge Dredd strip, which I was going to submit to Zargaz, and I said, practice on this. And he turned it in after about 4 years, and so I said I really liked it, so I sent it to Zargaz as a complete story rather than just a script, and they accepted it. That was Ian's first printed thing, which was cool. He does very grisly dreads.
I can draw angry men very easy. It's drawing happy faces and girls was more of a challenge.
Oh, there it is. A Joe by any other name. I do like pun titles.
Yeah, I think we've all worked for Future Quake, haven't we?
Yeah.
Future Quake Press. Not yet.
I've had one published in Dog Breath.
Yeah.
That was a Gronk story. Where's Gronk? And Nigel Dobbin did that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which I was quite chuffed about.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. As a writer, I have a lot of respect for artists because let's face it, Nigel made my script look good. Yeah, that's he actually edited my script and changed some of the panels around, added a page. Read it and thought, that's better than I wrote.
I find it simple. The script elevates the art, but that might be just me.
Yeah. So, sorry, Paul, how did you get involved?
Well, I'd just been, I'd not drawn anything for years and years, just the odd little bit every now and then. And I discovered there was a Massimo Bellardinelli Facebook page run by Robert Cox. I thought, because I used to love copying Massimo's pictures, and I was heavily influenced by him when I read his stuff in 2000 AD. So I thought, I'll stick some. I looked at some of my old pictures I'd done and put them on the forum for people to look at. And I got that much positive encouragement. I thought, better start doing some more then. And it's just sort of snowballed, really. I've just started drawing more and more and getting better and better. And I think I was talking, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I was talking to Ed, and he'd obviously admired some of the pictures I'd drawn. And that's when I got offered the Sentinel job, issue 3. Fair to remember. So, and I've never not been really good at drawing people, though I'm getting better, but aliens and monsters is my forte. I love drawing crazy aliens and weird and wonderful things. So Alan wrote the story to my strengths, and I think it came out quite well. I'm very pleased with it.
Good.
And the next story as well, it was going to be along the similar sort of themes that I've done one page at the minute. I'm just finishing off. I've been drawing for the past 2 years my own Ace trucking story, and I've keep putting it to one side, but I'm cracking on now and getting it finished. I think I've got 5 pages left to draw, and that's all about it's the beginnings, how Ace Garp becomes the space trucker that we all know in the comics. So it's his life on his planet Parp, and how he becomes a space trucker. Well, initially in one of the stories, it said, oh, he was thrown off his planet and told never to return. So I've incorporated that into the end of the story, what he actually does to get thrown off his planet. And I think it's funny. So hopefully when I let everyone see it, they'll enjoy it.
Cool.
And all I've got, and as well as that, Alan's wrote me a short Ace trucking story as well, which I'm hoping to get started soon, that sounds hilarious when you read it. It's really in there with the original themes of the stories.
Hi, Dave.
Technical issues.
Hey, up, Pendle.
I'm back in, yeah. Technical issues, which seems to be the new dog ate my homework.
You're on mute, yeah.
Would you like to introduce yourself with a quick anything you've done before in comics, before Sentinel, and then how you got involved in Sentinel, and then we'll be
not a problem.
up to speed.
I started in small press back in about '92 when I left art college. Put out a couple of books of my own called Slices and My Life Story. Then I started doing a lot of work with a guy who's putting out The Jock, who was a little bit of a DC letter hack, Roll Hurst. We did My Legendary Girlfriend, Escape Committee, Dangerous Drugs, about another 5 or 6 one-off stories for other people, and then on with Too Much Sex and Violence and Pajam, which I did a lot of the production for. Sentinel, I wanted to do something different. I've got stuck in the rut of drawing sort of realistic small town stories, and I fancied doing something different. And I read the first one and I wrote Alan and Ed a quick email going, yeah, do you need anyone, and have you got anything for me? And I'm doing a sci-fi noir called Utopia, which, although I've been working on it for about a year now, alongside other stuff, is going to be, I think, hopefully the one after Andrew or the one after Andrew. Unless the world comes to a massive end in the next 3 weeks because Boris does something daft.
Yeah, still could happen. I've been banking on it, but yeah, never mind.
I'm a civil servant, so it's the only way I'm going to be out of a job.
Me too. Sorry. A 64-page book is something that no other small press are attempting. The only people doing similar are Commando and the odd print from Treasury of British Comics from Rebellion. Yeah. There's nobody attempting what you're attempting at small press, as far as I'm aware. Is anybody correct me on that?
No, as far as I'm aware, there's one guy on Facebook who's going to bring out his own one for his own enjoyment.
Yeah.
But no one's doing it as a regular, proper small press comic. The reason we like this format so much is because you can buy any issue without having read any other issue. You can read them in any order.
Yeah.
And every issue you get a complete story, and then you can just move on to the next one. The problem you do get with ongoing small press things is the huge wait, because these people are not doing this full time. They're not getting paid full time, and so they do it when they can. Things like the 77, for example, you're going to wait a couple of months at least between issues, and that can annoy people sometimes. And then whatever's in it, the page counts may change for each story, that sort of thing. Whereas with us, they know they're getting a full story, full stop, and different genres as well. We do horror and sci-fi and fantasy. We have covered all those so far. Deliberately, the first 3 issues are horror, sci-fi, and fantasy.
Yeah, I was going to say the variety is very wide. There's some when they're on a stand. I've said a couple of times to you and Ed, when they're on a stand, they will look marvelous. They're really nicely made books, and on a stand they look marvelous. And you've got people coming, people. I can imagine people looking at them, and different people are going to obviously go for the different ones because there's something.
There you go.
There's something for every comic taste.
Yeah,
And they're affordable as well.
Sorry.
You know, £5, well, less than £5, which is, you know, a good
Yeah.
price for something like that.
For some
you know,
for
it's
the
done with
book.
love.
Plus, I
The
think the other
biggest,
good-
biggest compliment, sorry, I keep talking over people. So the biggest compliment is when people read one and then come back for the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just going to comment that the diverse artwork within each issue, I think it's also a good selling point. Because you've got something for everybody, the different styles. That's what used to attract me to 2000 AD when I was younger, was the different styles of artwork you used to get. Something you don't get with a lot of other comics like DC and Marvel stuff. It's all very much the same.
yeah, in-house styles.
And because it's black and white as well. I mean, I passionately love doing black and white comics, and I love black and white magazines as well. But they just stand out. You know, they look edgy, like you said, like the original progs, like the original 2000 ADs. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think about 5 years ago, I did a digest comic, and it was myself and a friend of mine, and it was riffing off. I don't know if you know Bernard Quatermass, Professor Quatermass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a Quatermass-esque. So we had a professor, and I did it as a challenge to myself. I did 80 pages, and I did a page a day. But we only ended up. This is before the sort of Kickstarter boom. So I think we only printed like 10 of them. But it was a lovely thing to do. But to do a page a day, because they're 2 panels or 3 panels or whatever. It's a great challenge. But
Yeah. Kickstarter's been a really sorry. Kickstarter's been a really good booster for printing comics, hasn't it? The thing about Kickstarter, you don't just see small press on there either. You see people who are published by other companies, you know, professionals going on there because they can sell, you know, they can sell their create your own content without the middleman.
Yeah.
Strangest one lately is Keanu Reeves's comic called Berserker, which I read yesterday, and that one on Kickstarter and just basically went through the roof because it's Keanu Reeves, and he's allegedly co-written it. I don't know how much he co-wrote. About a sort of an immortal berserker warrior who works for the US government, but we get to find out what his past is eventually. And it's pretty good. Good art, it's all well done, but if it hadn't been him involved, it would have been just another comic book. It's not a bad comic book, but it's not an amazing comic book. But so it's interesting how something like that get you a lot of publicity as well. I mean, we've tried to get superstar artists involved, but apparently they all want pay or something. Fuck them.
So is that where most of you saw Sentinel first, on Kickstarter, or was it through contacts with
Facebook?
Ed or Alan?
I was going to say it's Facebook with me. Like I said, I've known Ed for a while, but and we just got chatting, and he said, "Would you fancy it?" But to me, I thought, yeah, it'll be easy. I think it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was daunting, even getting to just page 15, and you still think, I've still got all this in front of me, and that was after 2 months. It was as Ed and Alan know, they kept saying, "Have you done it yet?" No, when they finished. That one was supposed to be issue number 2, I think. It ended up number 4. But that's the beauty of it. There's that many doing them that within this group, that if one's lagging behind a bit, the other one jumps in and their issue goes out first. There's no real pressure editorial-wise from Alan, apart from just get it done and give it to us.
Yeah.
What I think special about Sentinel is that there's so many stories already in the bank. So if we wanted to go monthly, we could do it for about 3 months. So you could get 1 out a month. But,
yeah. Alan,
because... Sorry.
So, Alan, didn't you say that you've written 12 before you started?
Sorry, what do you mean by 12 issues?
You've written quite a few scripts before you actually
Oh,
kicked
no,
off.
no. Well, no, I mean, Sentinel, I wrote the first one, and when we started to carry on, I just felt around in my head for ideas and just started writing. They usually take 2 or 3 days, sort of a few hours a day to write. And as the artist going, "Oh, you bastard!" And it's just as things going to be. What I've tended to do since we've had new artists as such is I'll write a story aimed at their art style and the kind of things they like to do. So David wanted to do a noir, so I wrote a noir. Paul does incredible Bellardinelli type art, so I wrote a Bellardinelli type story, an ace-stripping type story. Follow-up is a 40,000 in space, basically, so another daft thing, but it's all aliens. Ian, we didn't really know, but he took on the horror story and did an absolutely phenomenal job. And his next story, his only caveat was action, no girls, because he wrote a story about 14-year-old schoolgirls for 8 months, so he's a bit fed up drawing them. But here's just come. Everyone's got stuff to work on. I've got an idea this week for another follow-up for David if he fancies another one afterwards. A futuristic action thing. And I've also got a space pirate story plotted out as well. But what I tend to do is just wait, let the story flesh itself out, and then when I'm ready, I'll sit down and just start bashing out. And what tends to happen is sort of a third of the story will come out as I'm writing. Characters will emerge as I'm writing the story. One I recently did for Andrew, set in Victorian London.
Yeah,
I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. I introduced a character, and that character became the main character out of nowhere, and it worked quite well. So it's a lot. Some people plot things out meticulously. I get bones of a plot, then start to write and see what happens. So I don't know what's going to happen when I start, apart from what it starts with, what happens in the middle, and what happens at the end. All the rest is open to change or imagination, and I quite enjoy it.
Right. When it comes to editorial, are you? Well, I should ask everybody else really. Is he harsh?
No.
Ed's harsher.
Pussycat.
Ed's the harsh one.
Yeah.
As the artist, I can't draw. But whenever they send me a page, I just go, "Oh, that's brilliant!" And then go, you might want to change this or do that." And I just, "Oh, okay." So I don't interfere, because unless something was really radically different, or there was a specific piece of information I wanted in the page that wasn't there, I'm usually absolutely fine with it. One with Andrew recently, some characters needed to face the other way for a panel because he'd duplicated the art from the previous panel. I know your little tricks, Andrew. I spot them. Because of something that happened, they needed to be turned around for the next part. And just a couple of things in his that just need touching up. And the best thing about these, doing them digitally, although you can't sell the art, it's not easy to edit it if you just miss something out or need to change something.
Yeah.
Right. So people like Paul, who produces 64 beautiful physical pages of art, which he won't let go to Git.
I'm keeping it all.
I did an illustrated short. I did an illustrated short story for my daughter's 21st birthday present. I got a friend to do the art, and when I'm putting the pictures in the pages, I had a character looking out of the comic, and it always looks visually better if they're looking, if they're instead of looking off the page, if they're looking into the page. And your digital just flip it round. Excellent. So Ed, you're the have you got any bold titles? Are you art director?
I suppose you could call me that, all right, but I don't. It's very seldom I have to adjust any of the artwork. I think there was one.
You're not head bodger then.
No, no. I think there was one occasion with Ian that I had to just manipulate someone talking. They were in the wrong position, so that was it. But there was nothing major.
Yeah, I'd drawn them the wrong way around and you
Yeah.
flipped it back.
You did that with mine as well, Ed. You flipped one of my pictures
Oh,
because I'd
that's
done the
my
bubbles
fault.
the wrong way around. The speech, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
because
didn't have a clue.
usually I have to letter these things, and I hate lettering.
You'll love it.
No, I hate it, Ian.
I will try and do it. I will try.
Have you lettered all of them, Ed?
No, 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 not all of them.
I've read them, I've reviewed them, and I cannot remember.
Or have
Let-
I?
lettering
Actually, I
credits.
have. I've so far.
Morgan,
I
Morgan,
haven't lettered all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morgan's lettered his,
Yes.
hasn't he, Ed?
Yeah.
They're the ones
Yeah,
that
and
have come out so
I've lettered
far.
mine as
I'm
well.
about to say
Yeah.
Morgan's isn't out yet, is it?
No.
No, that's the next one. Being printed now, Bad Kitty, with the help of the band Cats in Space.
Yeah. I've gone for the Cats in Space cover.
Yes, from Mal. That's
Yeah.
a nice cover. I do like that. Morgan's is a wonderfully fun cover, but for the alternative, we just wanted the ship to be the focus.
Yeah.
So some of the fans might like it.
I'd picked the standard cover first, and then I think it was the next day I went back on and changed it. I've done that before. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was Death Sentence. That arrived, and it had extra things with it. Oh yeah. You did one, backed one, thought later, backed it, yeah, and it changed it. What's the biggest challenge as an artist any of you have been given in the scripts from Alan?
Well,
City
I would-
skirts.
Do
Sorry.
60 pages.
But you volunteered for that.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. You can honestly. I don't know if I've ever asked you all. Are the scripts? Because no one taught me how to write scripts. I just tended to just do it and hope it looked right. Are the scripts easy enough to follow? Because no one tends to come back and ask questions.
I found it very easy, saying I'd never done it before, because a lot of the times Alan said, just use your imagination. And it was, and you think, oh, great, I'll do what I want then. And it was fantastic. It wasn't too strict.
You're
So,
the
I
artist.
really
I
enjoyed
trust
it.
that you've got I think all of you have got a better visual idea. I'll specify certain positions or something like that because it's quite important. But usually I just sort of say these two people are talking at a bar, and I don't know why I don't want to drill into being it's got to be this big or there's got to be this many people or anything like that. No, have fun, draw it. All the artists enjoy yourself and don't feel obviously doing letter by letter. Tell you myself.
So
It's like
you're
John Wagner.
you're more John
used to say,
Wagner than Alan Moore.
Carlos Esquerra.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Definitely John Wagner, because he said that Carlos always used to like it. Sense if they were too complicated, because he liked to have the freedom, and I always thought that seemed to work. And Wagner again, he would, I assume he just write Johnny and Wolf walking down the street. That's it. And then Carlos can decide everything else and design the city or the town.
Yeah, I think he ended up just giving. I think Carlos just got one page in the end. I don't think he got a full script because they knew
But
each
it
other
worked.
so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
The joy of it is if someone doesn't like the script or the way it's written, then they don't have to do it as well. So that's
I think as Alan said it, he leaves the ideas and visuals up to us. But sometimes you can spend days trying to think, how can I make this interesting? And I tried with Misty by putting some detailing in the background, not actually in the panels, just to make the script, I won't say it was boring or anything, but just to give it a bit more of an edge. Whether it worked or not, I don't know. But it was just
you did a
something.
fantastic job.
it is incredible the fact that that's your first one, and you're drawing kids, and there's professionals that hate drawing kids.
So do I.
I mean, because they just draw miniature adults, and it doesn't work. A kid is different different proportions. So to have to do 14-year-old girls in your first strip, that's and 64 pages of it. That's phenomenal going. It's no wonder it took you a long time.
It was hard at first, but I think after about page 25, I started to get into the flow of it and really settle back and enjoyed it after that. But because it was my first one, really, apart from there's a jazz, I didn't want to let Alan and Ed down, and I was panicking a bit at first, which I'm sure a few of the others do. When they first look at the script, you think, I've got 64 pages. This is going to take forever. And you'll spend like a month and you're only 10 pages in. You think, Christ, I'm never going to get this done. I'm very slow at drawing. I get bogged down with putting detail in. I wish I could draw more just simplistic art, but I can't. I've tried and I can't do it.
And anybody else had anything particularly challenging, like 14-year-old girls?
I had a sequence in issue 2 where it dealt with pedophilia, and I had to be very careful the way I portrayed that.
I didn't write anything graphic.
No.
Just to be clear, you didn't go, we can't show that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, I needed somebody to be an obvious bad guy, and you had to get the idea of what he'd done without showing what he'd done or even mentioning what he'd done. And then he gets all his 4 limbs torn off by a dragon, so everyone's happy.
Yeah. You don't have to show everything.
No, absolutely not.
And that,
even
an artist. Sorry,
even
go Alan.
if it wasn't ages, I wouldn't want to show it anyway because there's no point.
Yeah, some things work better not shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the film Blue Velvet. The rape scene takes place off screen, and you see I've forgotten the main character's name, but you got the main character hidden in the wardrobe, and you see his expression of what he's seeing. And I couldn't listen to the song Blue Velvet for about 2 years. Yeah, without getting flashbacks of that. It was powerful by not seeing it.
I mean, the same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, the majority of that is off screen.
Yeah.
It's obviously the screaming and the whatever, but you see very little.
And
it's all
in a comic, of course, though. That's quite challenging. Getting the detail over and not showing on the comic page. That's quite a challenge. Especially since readers will say, "Well, that doesn't make sense because I didn't see that happening." Yeah. I remember somebody complaining about a Slain story, or Slonia.
I just do that anywhere.
Because it suddenly used a weapon. I forgot which one it was. It suddenly used, and it had been just in frame in three different pictures. So it was there. It was broadcast. It was there, and yet people still complained that, where does he suddenly pull that from? Well, his belt. But so to do something where it's not shown in the comics, quite a challenge. Anybody else with a particular curveball that he's thrown them, or has it been plain sailing so far?
It's mainly pretty easy because Alan just leaves it to you.
Yeah.
But I mean my challenge is to take what we have as normal, but make it slightly different to go with the futuristic setting. So if you've got like an American diner, which is everyone knows what an stereotypical American diner looks like, how do you move that slightly forward in time? It's trying to work that out without it being not recognizable for what it's meant to be.
Yeah. So what's
and because I said Andrew had an interest in his issue, he had to draw a section of it entirely in the first person. How was that?
Yeah. I mean, all of it was a challenge because it's a superhero story, and I love horror, but I just jumped on it. But yeah, the first person where we're seeing through you just see a little bit of the character's hand. You know, it's going to be it's a lovely thing. But the real challenge I've got working with Alan is not doing the next story, because there's so many. You know, we've got 2 more stories that I've got, and they're so good to work on. You know, you just want to get them done. You know, but then I think we've all got other commitments. You know, I think I'm doing a dog breath one at the moment, and then there's a more 77 ones coming up. So we just have to keep balancing them all. But yeah, that's the challenge, I think, balancing all the work we've got on. And I'm crazy. I do a sketch a day as well. So every morning I'll get up and do a little pen and ink and a bit of watercolor in my sketchbook. And I've been doing that for about 8 years without missing a day. So that's an obsession of mine as well. It's not comic related. In fact, I've got these here. I did these as a painting. These are an oil painting a day. I did about 2 or 3 years ago. It's got a bit of glare.
Wow.
But tons and tons and tons. So I did a month of movie heroes. But then I also did a month of self-portraits and a month of various things. But yeah,
Cool, and
just love doing them. Love painting, love drawing, and love comics. But also, I mean, I find that I'm with the comics. I'm doing it on the iPad, just because it's easier. I can be wherever I am and do drawings or do a painting, you know, and I can be on the sofa at night or in the morning. I think that's what I'm finding really good. But then I love drawing with pen and ink as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the challenge is just getting that balance right. Alan's scripts are doddle. That's the easy stuff, doing the script, I think is. But then also, I think, you know, we've all got relationships. We have to balance those. I'm in the middle of a house move. If you saw the chaos around me here, it's just comics and graphic novel boxes stacked up. So we're moving on Wednesday. So all manner of good stuff.
So what's next for Sentinel then? What's what issues are coming? I know I've read the next 2. So
what did you think?
Extremely well. Also, each time extremely different. That's actually something I should have talked about. Parody. You've got there's the cats in space one that's coming out. That's the one that's just finished on Kickstarter. You've got several dogs named after some famous dogs. I like to.
Dogs, yep.
Yep. I was very, very pleased to see Penry in there.
Not Henry.
Not Henry.
With a P.
So many people think it's Henry.
The Hong Kong Fooey.
So many people think it's Henry. When I was a kid and I called him Penry at school, and nobody knew who I was talking about.
It's not Henry the mild-mannered janitor then. It's Penry.
It's Henry the mild-mannered janitor.
Henry, yeah.
I run quizzes, and one of the questions, the name of the mild-mannered janitor in Hong Kong Fooey, and the team that lost by 1 point put Henry, and they hated me because I didn't give it to them.
Did we just mishear it as kids then?
I think most children had never, the name Penry
so
doesn't
you
make
just
sense.
Truncate it.
Exactly,
You hear the name, it makes sense, I think.
His name is Penrod J. Pooch.
Wow.
Penrod.
For sure. Yeah, Penrod, yeah, exactly. I think they just made it up.
But wasn't he a
Proper
number
writer.
1 super guy though?
He was the number one super
He
guy.
was the number 1 super guy.
He
He was quicker than the human eye as well.
He was.
You know we're old.
I'm filling a lot of these application forms for TV quizzes, and it says have you got a hidden skill? And they go, yeah, just give me a TV theme tune. I probably know the words to them for like about 40 years. Especially the instrumentals.
Yeah, I always enjoy putting Easter eggs into a script if I can. Usually nobody ever notices. So good spot on that. Also in Bad Kitty, we've got Sparky's Bar on Schultz's World, and obviously Schultz's World after the Peanuts creator, but everyone called him Sparky. No one used his real name. His name to all his friends was Sparky. Has been most of his life. So Sparky's Bar was a homage to that. So it's just because I know a lot about American newspaper comic strips because I've been reading them all my life. But the next one, To Be a Hero, was Drew's first book, which he did after seeing that he used to do a portrait a day in paint. I'm not surprised he did it so quickly. It was quickly done. That one, I hope it's not something you've never read before in the superhero genre.
Yeah, it's not something I've read before in the superhero genre. No, brand new to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the sort of story that it is without giving anything away.
Yeah, it's far too easy to give things away on that. I liked the progression. It was very.
Have you seen it? Have you?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes.
What, the art and everything?
Yeah.
All right, cool. It's just strange when things start going out into the world.
Well, no, I think Steve's the only person apart from me, you, and Ed that's read it.
Right.
But no, I've never read a story like that before. It's very good.
Yeah, it was lovely to work on because it was in the format that it is without giving it away. But
there really isn't a lot you can say without giving it away.
Giving it away, yeah.
Can I just ask, Andrew? Alan, was he quicker than Ed?
I'll tell you what, it's close. It is very close between those two.
You know what, Ed? We should do a draw off.
Lawless, we'll get him to draw off. Yeah.
When we're clear, we should start an issue of Sentinel together, two issues, and see. I mean, I could probably do an issue in what, 4 or 5 hours? What about you?
An issue.
Pretty much so, yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 hours. No. We can do it. I can do about 3 or 4 pages a day.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think definitely a draw off at Lawless.
Yeah.
My recreation, John Burns Alpha Flight Snowblind took longer than that.
Yep, and we do have a homage in Bad Kitty to that as well, as you've seen, Steve. The page that's composed.
Yeah.
Which I did because of the Alpha Flight scene, which was all set in a blizzard, and it was just white panels. So I thought I'd do my own version.
Yeah.
Also, the only page that I could.
Sorry, Alan, your sound's gone.
So it's the only page in Sentinel that I could draw.
I always wondered if John Byrne got the same page rate for doing that whatever it was. It's only about 10 pages, wasn't it, in the middle of the story? Would he still?
You'll have heard about it if he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's everybody got coming up other than Sentinel?
Who's
I think it needs to
first?
be to Andrew first. He's a busy boy.
Yeah.
I've got so I'm doing the triple threat of the Future Quakes. So I've got Zarjazz, Future Quake, and a Dog Breath on the drawing board. I'm halfway through one of the Dog Breath stories. We've just launched Blazer. I don't know if you've seen Blazer, the Steve McManus comic. So I've got one story in that, and I've also art directed it and sub-edited it. I've also just done Brawler. Have you seen Brawler? Steve Time Bomb. So I did Keiko Panda in that, and then I've also got what we got coming up. Oh, I'm also working with Steve on Harker as well, doing a bit of colouring on Time Bomb, the Time Bomb comics. I'm trying to think. I think I'm in denial. I don't want to think what I'm doing. And then we've also got a Sentinel Halloween special. Oh, there we go. That's mine.
Yeah.
A little bit of Keiko. A different, again, I love doing different styles or different versions of me, because I love comedy, but I also love horror, sci-fi, superheroes. Yeah. I think didn't someone review it and said it was the Liechtenstein colouring? I think it said.
That would be me.
Was that you?
No.
And then also doing my sketch a day. I'm trying to think what else I've got doing. I've got a creator-owned thing I'm doing called Gideon Gunn. I'm also involved with the Ice Cast as well, which is a friend of mine, Shane, who does the International Comic Expo up in Birmingham. Comic Con called Ice. So we're involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
quite
me.
a few. Yeah.
A lot.
That's me. And sorry, I'm also doing Penny Pentagram in the 77.
Ah, yeah.
I'm the new artist on that.
Okay.
I hope.
And you have a strip in Crackpot.
And we got Stripping Crackpot, which we're not even talked about yet.
No.
We haven't, no, we missed Crackpot.
Crackpot is another little genius idea that the boys came up with.
Well, Ed. It's
Oh,
always
okay, Ed, tell us about that
Ed.
then.
Crackpot is an all ages comic. It's going to be full color, 28 pages in a US format, which some people might find very strange because it's inspired by, Dandy, Beano, Beezer, Wizard and Chips, that kind of style of cartooning. And we're all involved in it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cool.
So is that one-page strips?
No, they vary. They vary from 1 page up to 4 pages per strip.
Yeah, because you're doing it for yourself, again, there's no restrictions.
Yeah.
So different characters can have different lengths. So I wrote it and came up with different characters. Me and Ed use the characters we've already had some stuff published called Neolithic and Tim, which is a caveman and his pet saber-toothed tiger. So we did a story on that. Then I came up with various other characters and people just decide which one they like to do. And we've also got John Farrelly has done a very Time Pirates strip, which is absolutely fantastic. And who else is it?
Michael Carroll, he's writing
Mike Carroll, and Mike Carroll's bringing us a 1-page strip as well to put in it. And it's called Crackpot, and it's deliberately old school, but the characters themselves aren't necessarily old-fashioned, so some of the themes are up to date. But it's all very basically smart kids getting out of trouble is the main theme of this little comic. But that again, it's just a labour of love. It should be fun, and we're hoping that people enjoy that. So I've done that. That's really all. Apart from Sentinel, that's all I do, and the occasional Zarjaz strip if they're after anything in particular. I've let them know that if they ever want something that's not Dread, just give me a character and I'll go for it. So I did a Nikolai Dante. They've got because no one had ever done one, so I came up with one set in a brothel, of course. And I've also been weirdly worked a bit with Steve McManus on Blazer issue 2, where I've helped him out with with a second part of one of the stories, which is quite good. Do people not know there's a Blazer issue, Andrew? Of course, there's going to be a
Probably
Blazer
don't
issue.
know that the Mighty One has his own script droid working for him.
No, he was quite happy to be shared.
Yeah.
We've
we've announced Blazer 2. It's all up to Steve for when he's writing it, and I think we're going to try and wind it all up in the second issue. So the stories we've started.
This is a problem where you had an issue 1 story, so it sets up this wonderful long-term mystery, and then he's got
Yeah.
4-page the thing. And so I just offered to help, and between us, we threw a few drafts and came out with a workable script where everything that he threw into issue 1 was resolved in issue 2. But he, as far as I know, he's just doing all the rest himself. I just help on. It just came across because I'd read part 1 because Filippo Roncone from Sentinel drew it and he'd shown it to us. And I just said to Steve that I was just sorry, and if because they're obviously looking for more people for their upcoming annual next year, is it? I said, oh, that's the story I'd write, and it just came across. He said, I'm having a bit of trouble with issue 2, so it just came from that. But Steve's lovely. Blazers are going to be great.
But it's nice
And,
that
again,
someone as famous as the one true Tharg is so approachable. You know, we can
He's
all
great,
collaborate with him. Yeah, I mean, he's sending me snippets of the Sheriffs of Nottingham strip for issue 2, and it's just I'm getting these like missives from Tharg himself. It's fantastic, and Action Man as well, isn't he?
Yes.
And because I've been working so closely with him on Blazer, I've been getting some of the original photos of him as the soldier or with the snake and the juggling, just to make prints of for the promotion of the comic. So yeah, it's just to be so in the heart of what we love. I keep using this word love, but it's true.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely. It's not just, we wouldn't be doing 60 pages. I mean, me and Ed, like you say, can rattle out the pages. It's a crazy passion. I mean, my wife's downstairs now. I should be packing boxers, but I'm talking to you guys.
You'll be in
And
trouble.
that's why you've got no dinner tomorrow.
We're back up at the new house tomorrow. We're doing it properly. We've got a removal man coming on Wednesday, but the amount of comics I've got is just daunting. I'm just trying to shift them secretly, and my comic art collection's like, so I don't really want them shifting it.
I've not got rid of any comics
since.
I've not got rid of any comics since 1981.
There you go.
In 1981, I was 13, and we were moving. My dad was in the RAF, and he was coming out, and we're moving home to Yorkshire. All the way through my childhood, didn't matter where we lived, home was always Yorkshire, not the house we lived in.
Which bit of Yorkshire, Steve?
Leeds.
Oh, go on. We'll let you off. English West.
That's why I've not got much accent, because I've lived all over the place.
So you think?
Well, I probably sound very Yorkshire to anyone who's not Yorkshire, and I don't sound very Yorkshire to people who are. Yeah.
Believe me, you do, Steve.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, 81, 13-year-old kid. I was told you are not allowed to move all those comics. At that point, I had 2 suitcases full underneath my bed, and you can't move.
It could be a dream. Just have 2 suitcases full. It'd be a dream.
Oh, yeah, but that was at 13. It was quite substantial. It was literally the entire underneath of my bed. There was 2 huge suitcases, and my parents said you can't keep all of those. I kept my 2000 ADs. I did the unthinkable, and I tore some comics up so I could keep some particular stories, because you're not allowed to take them. Well, I'm having this story. Kept all the 2000 ADs, and that's the only time I've ever got rid of a comic.
Or tore a comic up.
Also the only time I've torn a comic up. Yeah.
I put 2 box loads outside the house the other day with a sign saying "Help yourself," because I've just got too much crap.
Yeah.
Did they go?
I sat there watching outside the window, and about 5 people came up, had a look.
What's this crap?
It's quite hoity-toity around here. But some of the cool kids with the long beards and the top knots and the undercuts came round, and they went straight in the back of the car and off.
I used to have a top knot when it wasn't trendy. Just to
Never
put it
been
gently.
trendy.
Well, people think it is now, apparently.
I used to have hair when it was trendy.
Right, so
what are we all up to? We sort of digressed, didn't we?
I think when this gets looked at by Sue, it should be telling somebody cut all that out.
It's going to be
3
a wonderful
minutes long.
5-minute panel.
Yeah. I think this gentleman at the bottom's got a good Kickstarter at the moment.
Yeah,
Who's that?
that's
Who says who's
You.
that?
yeah.
Oh.
Anybody got anything to pimp? Come on.
Yeah, I've got something on Kickstarter at the moment. Thank you very much, Andrew. Good
Yeah,
pick.
you're welcome.
I've got a page. Got the pages of it here. It's called Being a Girl. It's about a young guy who is in the about 92, 93, 19, not that age, but those years, and he's coming out as a cross-dresser, and it's about his life. He's getting less confident as himself as his female personality gets more confident and more public in circles, and it's really good. You know, say so myself. I've drawn half of it and inked all of it. The guy who's written it is from that sort of scene, so it's accurate, it's truthful. I've just checked before coming on. We've been on for 3 days and we're 88% funded.
Good.
So it's just getting that last 12% to get in, but we've got another 4 weeks, so it's fun. Closes the 2nd of April, so I'm quite happy with that. We've also got some pictures in around for Tony. Is it Tony Foster, Ed, who runs Comic Scene?
Yeah.
He's
There's that one as well.
His comics. Yeah, I've got a few pictures in for that. I've got a picture I'm just finishing for Pandora that the 77 are running there. Female alt sort of Misty come, Tammy come 2000 come whatever.
Joe Healy's doing that. And Joe Healy's
yeah. So I've got a script that I'm just finishing off today for that to go in, see whether they want that, which is very, very Yorkshire. It's about being in the woods and rock. So as in the material, not the music. So it should be. I've also got working on Tilly O'Dea, which is a character of mine, which is a child adventurer, and I've got an anthology that I'm putting together with a couple of people I've worked with over the last 20 years, which should hopefully be ready for next year as well, called The Streets. So busy and obviously working, having a wife, puppy training. I'll get some sleep one day.
We love it.
We do.
Absolutely love it.
But
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Dave, I just backed your comic.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you.
You're now on 361, £37
nice.
to go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Always appreciated.
I realised I've forgotten.
So, Paul and Ian, are you working on anything else?
As I said a bit earlier, I've got a couple of Ace Garp stories. One that's nearly finished, and then one Alan's written for me. And I've got in my head a few odd, just one-off pictures that I want to do. It's just finding the time to do them. I fancy doing a really big Black Hawk. Remember Black Hawk from 2000 AD?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I had
very
this
good.
vision of like a really big picture of him sort of stood with the planet Silver Sun going off into the horizon and all weird and wonderful sort of atmospheric things happening and meteorites flying past in all directions and black holes and things like that. So I've got it in my head, but I haven't actually started sketching it yet. So that's my next big project after I've done a few of these comic strips. There he is, yeah.
There's always
you
my
got on
favourite
there?
story as a kid.
Ian, have you got anything else coming out? Or in the
No,
works?
nothing. I'm doing the Sentinel and whatever I fancy doing on a Saturday morning. I'll just draw on the odd picture and post it on social media, but nothing for comics.
Right. Okay.
So what's next for Sentinel though? We've not mentioned that, have we? What's the
We're just
next
gonna-
after Kitty?
Well,
The
I'm
thing about
doing the
Kitty
variant cover for
is-
Harryhausen.
There we
Oh,
go.
Harryhausen.
You've not mentioned that one yet, Ed.
We
No,
have forgot it.
Are we allowed to for legal reasons?
It depends how you pronounce it, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that pause in.
Harryhausen. 2 words.
Housey Harrison.
Harryhausen. We're basically revisiting the characters from the first issue, Doyle and Rahelistipa. The second character was named after Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast, known as Rahelistipa, because that's how I was listening to on the morning when I wrote it or started writing it, and it just sort of stayed as it became a bit of a running joke. The saddest thing is that Richard Herring won't read it, which I think is a bit mean.
Has he told you he won't?
Yeah, well, I've sent him the links, and he said, "Oh, I'm sure people enjoy it." You know, I know he hasn't bloody read it. Well, you plug it on his bloody podcast or something.
Send
But
it
it's
to
sort of
Stuart
stuck there.
Lee, he'll read it to piss him off.
Yeah, yeah. We'll do it in a very long-worded, intellectual way, whereas Herring is more believes in farts.
Yeah.
Now, what do? We brought the characters back. It's a delivery service, and they deliver to a planet called Harryhausen's World, which is a homage to the late great Ray Harryhausen, the special effects stop motion master. And me and Ed are both really big fans, so we wanted to do something featuring monsters from those old films. So we did it. So they're on a planet, and through stuff, they end up having to fight lots of old Harryhausen type monsters. And then we went to the Ray Harryhausen Foundation, who got a bit funny with us, saying that we couldn't use those monsters because it is held by the film companies and stuff like that. And so rather than mess around too much, even though we printed it, I know they do bugger all if we put you into copy. Ed went back and amended all the monster artwork. Now different, so they're all generic historical monsters. Now they're just slightly different to Harryhausen's, so no one can get funny about it. And whatever we've
Covered
changed
by
them all now,
parody
so
law,
it's now a pastiche.
yeah.
Yeah, it's now a parody stroke pastiche homage, and they said, "Oh, can you send us that?" I said, "No, because it's now not you."
Yeah.
Because I was pissed off. So instead of Harryhausen's World, it's Harryhausen, because of the late 20th century stop motions master Harryhausen, Howson. So it would be covered by parody laws because it is a parody. But I really, really enjoyed this one because it's the first time we've gone back to existing characters, but they were a joy to write the first time, and it's very sort of buddy movie banter and sort of casual violence sort of thing, and that was enjoyable to go back to, and it actually made me laugh it back as well, which is nice when I read it back after I'd finished the artwork. And it's always good when you write something you can laugh at yourself, even though you've been through it lots of times. So, I mean, did you like that one, Steve? You had the original unaltered version, I think.
And I liked the editor's notes as well, the classic editor's notes.
Yeah, I get to write those.
Yeah, the
Does anyone get kicked in the
see issue such and such.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes you have to do that, asterisk.
Yeah.
And I'll just go and buy it, that sort of thing.
Alan, does anyone get kicked in the nuts in it, like in the last story with them?
Now that's a spoiler.
Well,
that'd be a spoiler.
Put it this way: if you've got a sword and someone's nuts are about 4 foot above you, there's a natural progression to this. I mean, there's been a slight criticism from a certain person on Facebook, but he doesn't count. You all know him. I will not dignify.
I'll just get my list of people that we've annoyed.
List of assholes from Facebook. It's up the whole pad.
This is pad 2.
They're in the downside of the internet. But
I
this is
think
this is the upside, yeah.
I think when Lawless becomes a real thing again, when it's an actual convention, I think Sentinel is going to be in double figures, and
Yeah,
Crackpot
I mean,
will be out as well. You know, it's going to be.
Yeah. I still have, several hundred copies of Sentinel waiting to be unleashed on a public.
Yeah.
Because we've never been able to take it to a festival.
Yeah.
So the first issue came out, around pandemic time started, and so we printed up 250 of each. We actually sold out of issue 1, but the other ones I've still got quite a lot sort of left over, and I'm just keeping hold of them. And as with every person who's ever made their own comic book and offered prints to the general public, I will be buried in a coffin made of old prints that people haven't bought, because it's we found out it's as cheap to buy 100 prints as it is to buy 20. So each one is we had to buy in group lots of 100. So I've got tons of the things, and they're really nice. I might have framed and put on the wall in the shop. It's great. But I will, made of prints. I think that's a fitting end for a comic book writer.
So to finish off then, I was trying to think of a snappy title for this panel, and my snappy title was rubbish. I'm not. I mentioned it while people were in the waiting room. It was it played around. I played around with defending the future from the past, because it's a book based, based Sentinel, and it was awful. It was awful. So has anybody got one?
Of course, I've got one.
Title for the panel.
Well, as you may have noticed from every single comic I've ever written, puns. I like puns. So I like Size Matters Not. So you get the Star Wars reference. It's a small comic, but it doesn't matter.
There you go.
Anyone?
Yeah. That's a good one.
There you go, done. Should be a writer, Alan.
And as with a lot of my stuff, it references another classic science fiction thing.
Yep, size doesn't matter.
Size matters not.
Size matters not.
Size matters not.
Size matters not.
Yoda.
I'll spell it wrong as well.
Or yogurt. Eustace Schwartz.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I didn't see any
brilliant.
timing pop up to say how long we've been on.
Popped up to say you're using extra minutes at one point.
Yeah.
It didn't pop up for me. That's interesting.
Well, we all know.
Yeah. I mentioned at the beginning that this is a free account, so it cuts off after 40 minutes, but they keep giving people free bits because it's good for business.
People like to talk.
But people are on so much on here. Right, thanks, guys.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Good to see you all, guys.
See you all later. Hopefully in person.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.